Yo, what's up, y'all? I figured I'd take you guys on a journey. One thing that's been really cool recently and what I've been doing is prayer walking. So, let's go. So, we're outside today, and I thought I'd share a really cool adventure with you guys. This video is called Why I Started Prayer Walking. I moved to Virginia, Charlottesville, Virginia, not too long ago. About a year now, and I remember, I was there for a program. The program ended, and I was really focused, really concerned on how do I get to know the people in a community? How do I get to know the people of this city? Who makes up the city of Charlottesville, Virginia? And I talked to a few friends, I talked to a few pastors that I knew, what do I do? How do I know what ministries to be a part of? And I knew this one guy, his name's Jacob Jones, shout out to Jacob. And he said, man, do you remember there was this thing in Boston? These pastors would gather together. They'd walk around different communities in Boston and they'd pray together. And in that time span, crime dropped significantly. Even the police in the area, whenever crimes happened, they'd go to the pastors and the preachers first before they would go to the people who are causing trouble. I think that points to such a huge testament of God's faithfulness, of God's power, of God's truth, of God's goodness. And so I was like, man, I gotta get on this. I gotta start praying. What could it look like for me to do a prayer walk within the city of Charlottesville? And so I started walking. There's this one area in Charlottesville, Virginia called the Prospect Avenue. And that place has become such a cool part of my journey here. And I was like, okay, I feel like God is leading me to walk here. And so what I've been trying to do very consistently, I failed at it sometimes, but I've gotten up and would just go around this old neighborhood and walk around it and just pray. What would God reveal to me? I think the beauty of prayer walking is that much of it is spontaneous. And so you're walking and you're saying, okay, God, what can I be praying for today? I've been walking so much, I'm tired, I'm out of breath now. But I remember the first time going, thinking, man, I feel stupid, I feel crazy. Why would God meet me on this walk? What are people gonna think about me walking around their neighborhood? That's kind of weird. And I remember walking past and there was this one guy and he introduces himself, he's with his boys. And he's like, hey man, I can tell you're a good guy. And we just get into a conversation. All his friends are like, yo, let him go, let him keep walking. He's a good dude, just let him go. But I just keep talking to this dude. He tells me his name, I walk away, and I continue praying. Just continue to walk, continue to pray for kids that I saw playing on the road, for parents that I saw peeking their head out of the door, for mailmen who are dropping packages off. I just continued to pray. And as I was circling back and thinking about who I'd met, who I'd been praying for, I remembered the guy's name. See, his name was Emmanuel. And I don't know if that means anything to you, but I remember that Emmanuel means that the Lord is with us. Man, I got this joy, I got this excitement because God was with me as I was prayer walking. It was a double-edged reminder, right? That one, God is already in the communities. God is already in the neighborhoods. And so we're not bringing God's presence to the people. God is already there. We're saying, God, where are you? And how could we show others where you are? How could we show others where you're moving, what you're already doing? Because you're always active. You're not sleeping. You're not slumbering on the throne. No, you're active and you're present in the lives of all of your people. And so it reminded me of that, but it also reminded me to continue to walk, to continue to pray, to continue to trust. And so why do I prayer walk? I prayer walk because God cares about his people. And it's when you're walking with the people, that's when you get to meet them. That's when you get to know them. That's when you get to realize, okay, God, what are you doing? Here I am surrendering myself that you might be glorified through it all. It's funny, a part of it actually reminds me of the story of Joshua. Joshua, the son of Nun. In the book of Joshua, chapter 6, he goes around with the army, the generals, the priests as well, and they're going around and they're marching around the walls of Jericho. Man, and what happens, on the seventh day, the walls come crashing down. And I got this cool imagery of, we're walking around these walls, but not so that they would crash down. We don't want the city to necessarily fall, but for every plan of the enemy to break down in those communities. Every plan of the enemy to cause division, to cause strife, to cause fatherless families. Every plan of the enemy to cause the confusion and distraction. I just began praying that down, and I really believe that God met me while I was there. And so listen, maybe you'll have a Boston miracle once you begin prayer walking. Maybe you won't. But either way, I guarantee that is a really good way to see how God is already moving in the communities you find yourself a part of. Grace and peace, y'all.